Upside down. The review. Let's get started. To me, the word oned means one. TT is a saying for like using the bathroom, and it has more to do with my body. So trying to analyze it upside down, it has to do with the body. And when you try to figure out a game like this, I mean, there's got to be some kind of reference to the body. Like if this is a small room, we have to figure out what that would mean. And upside down gives it a whole new dimension. But we can go ahead and look around and see what the hell this means. Really, all I do, this game is really trippy, you know. Um, this isn't really the part where it looks like there's anything here, but I mean, I'm serious. There's a lot of details in here that you don't really notice, and it's a whole math problem, really, because there's that many drawers, one handle, two handles in the room, type of thing. There's two windows, two blinds, that many creases in that. Looks like a table. It could be something else. Three shelves for 12, 18 books. Six of them are bigger than the other ones, type of thing. You know. Let's just go ahead and go through here and see what. Looking at him upside down, he walks different. Is what I was really trying to look at, was what the upside down is normally. And if you look at it long enough, I mean, it's kind of like there's a little square thing. It's moving his pocket. Could be bunny ears, maybe. But I'm just trying to figure out as much as I can from this. Also, what needs to be documented in every single one of these levels, so community needs to do this, is to take every tiny piece, every little piece of the things in here and count them up until it actually resembles something else that would be a dilemma or something. How many flowers in here is something that can be counted. How many trees, the shape of the trees, until it all points at each other and then it makes one meaning, that can be understood. Here's what I was doing for about 10 minutes. Because I'll stare at this stuff until it makes sense. But basically, I was looking at this dude, and to me, it looks almost like a monkey, or like a primitive woman. See the arm here, shoulder, ears here, and if you look at it enough, it actually looks like kind of a layout for the Mother 3 character, whatever the dude's name is that was the thief. Because he has ears kind of like that. It's kind of lopsided looking, and those are shoes and feet. And this, to me, kind of represents, the body upside down. And then if you look at this for long enough, I'm seeing here, it's two legs. There's a leg here and a leg here, and it's a little person facing this way, like an old lady or something facing at me this way, with legs here, and it's like someone farted and is looking at this direction. It's like they blowhold, and then they're coming at looking at this direction. And then upside down, I mean, you can't really see it here, but there's also like a little, looks like a teddy bear upside down. See the face? Yeah, kind of like a alien or something. You know, but when you look at that long enough, I mean, this is someone looking upside down, and I mean that definitely looks like a head. You know, and just any kind of glitchy things like that. You know, and I know it doesn't really look that interesting, but it is. And you know, these are eyes. There's a face. You know, if you look at it long enough and get tripped out by it enough, I mean, you will find reason in all of it. You know, I'm seeing another person's face there. You know, I mean, I know it's not much, but I promise it is tons. And look at this. This is another thing. It's an upside down reference, you know. That looks like eyeballs in there and a mouth that's down. It almost looks like a naked person facing the other way. Also looks like titties. Definitely looks like eyeballs that are covered up by a person. It's like someone's face. Looks like one of those fat Elvis people that would be playing the guitar or something. You know. And it's like, you know, a triangle there. He's got something here coming out of his mouth or something that looks like, you know. I mean, there's no way that that's not supposed to mean something. I mean, you know, I don't see any room for error when it comes to making a video game. And I definitely don't see any error, you know, when it comes down to just this little pattern here. I know that when I made video games, I cared about what the patterns were, and it always had to do with something that related to something else, so I would know what it meant. You know, not just something that I wouldn't remember. And you know, I mean, it's kind of boring, but I'll show you something cool that you'll understand maybe. Let's just see what it is. You know, upside down, you know, I mean, it's not something that is not conscious to understand, you know. Or why the hair is parted. I mean, it's got to look like something, you know, it's supposed to. Here is basically the level that I've discovered here. Even though this does look like a belly button to me, and you know all the craters do, and you know it can be applied to your body as a reference point. It's kind of like when you take hits. It should be something that has to do with it. Here we go is a scene about something, and you know there's one belly button, two, you know I guess, and then this third one. You know, buttons probably means something, signifies buttons, you know, are buttons. Here's a person, looks like a lady facing that way. And it looks like a table or something. Or is a person under here getting like fucked or something. It looks like someone's under that, you know, like behind that person, someone's messing with another person there. And then there's someone here playing a piano, as you can tell. And it looks like someone's sitting there. It looks like a smiling demon face, probably, playing a piano, looking in this direction. You know, there's also 8 melodies here that has to do with something because there's, I forgot, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 people are here, which are all the melodies, supposedly. Or at least it has the number 8, which has to do with the melodies. And, you know, there's probably a lot of other things that this area has to do with. But it definitely has to do with a piano being played, some kind of stage. You know, and that's about as far as I've gotten on this part. And then there's another one up here. I know that's a cop's face upside down, but it doesn't look like that this way. You know, it looks like something else. Looks like half of a baby that way. This way. Looks like some kind of fat sumo wrestler or some kind of face from like Dr. Mario or something, that smile, little bomb looking dude. You know, I mean, there's just little tiny amounts of things that you can get from what that means, you know. I'll go ahead and progress through this and see if there's anything else I get out of it. And, I mean, looking at Pokey, I mean, it has to do with the body. It's supposed to be, to me, the Earthbound game should be a manual to teach you how to kind of inverse everything that you see outside of the world, because it's all pixelated. So it should be able to be able to trip yourself out, in the mind, like in physical. Because I mean, if this represents something that we can, like these trees look they don't look like trees. They look like something to do with our body. And then we could get into a lucid state, without lucid, because lucid doesn't work. And then we have Pokey to understand, which is, a face that looks like just a big fat person giving out burgers, and he's like, but you see his he's only got, that's his mouth. To me, it looks like a vagina or something. Or it's a closed eye, or like a mathematical, probably inbred. Maybe that's his inbred, son or something. Could be some form of like if you took two people and then it just was like half of that thing, or I don't know. This shit is so fucking trippy. Then, I was trying to come up with a way to just read regular English and then be able to take small normalities that would kind of clot up in here from the words and be able to make some sense out of what is just nonchalantly said until it leads up to something. Because there's choices of grammar here. It has a nice timing. Could have been something to be thanks for arriving on time. And I forgot to tell you about kind of finding a way to fill up these words, like I was showing you how there's upside down letters, and studying how this upside down version has more to do with something that's understandable, with the something, because letters upside down, this has a container, it's like a U is the N. I thought maybe the container words, could make an English word or something upside down, that would fill in. But, more studying would have to be done to understand all of that. So, of course, I don't know how that wouldn't be his incestuous future son, because for one, he is, that could be like the definition of family or something, because, he is, if you loved family in the way people love family, it probably would look like, it's just so good. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of this and see if I can find anything else this has to do with. But really what I'd like to be able to do is count each one of these, find similarities in what they mean and what all of the trees mean. To me, it looks like belly button lid, or maybe like pizza cheese dripping off. But it would have to do with something, and once all that's figured out, just small abnormalities like that, what the hell that dude is doing there, and why that roof is here, and this is restricted. You can't go past that to see what that is. It could be the legs here. Those types of things will tell a story about someone's point of view when they were creating the game. Being a creator of a game, you will notice that no space should be wasted. And when something is done like that, I mean, nothing is going to be wasted. And just the most unconscious things that would be said will be said. Seeing that upside down, I mean, even this, just that being in front of that is two layers interacting, is already enough to kind of make a picture already. It's just two, probably 100 pixels. It's not that many pixels, maybe 60 pixels. You know, obviously they could be compatible with each other. You know. You know, I don't want to do this entire game, but I really do. You know, but it's just that it's a lot of work. You know, this looking like eyes, for example. You know, these have trees growing out of them. It could be crying. It could represent. There's a person in the room. You know, I mean, people could have. You can actually make love to someone just with this little bit of information. Someone's crying. There's not enough water. That person could walking around. And what does that have to do with that? Eyeballs. One person's walking around. This one can't move if you don't use the controller. Things like that, I think, are, you know, quite insignificant. I think they're extremely outsignificant as well. You know, and I mean, just that, you know, has an eyeball here and smiling. You know, that could be something. You know, it looks like an eye, and then like, you know, smile there, like it's a bomb. It looks like. The music is just insanely great. God. You know, then it talks about ruffians. I mean, there's a lot to analyze just from that being said. I gotta take the animal with, I think. But, I mean, it's a long game, and I mean, that's all I've really discovered so far. I mean, it's just gonna take me forever to go through all this shit. It's just a lot it's gonna be great, you know, to go through it. You don't have to watch this part, you know. And, you know, knowing what this means in Japanese, like, would be a little bit more interesting. The shapes don't really look eventually just like normal items. That to me looks like a face, mouth, probably smiling. Those two things there look like eyeballs. Looks like two Hershey's Kisses facing upside down. Two mountains. Could be something else, you know, if that was a Japanese reference. I don't understand what the hell that is. I'm sure it doesn't look like much, but yes it does. I mean, please, for God's sake. Alright, and then we'll just go to another area and I'll see what I see. Yeah, this kind of thing, like, you know, I was talking about, like, examining what this stuff means. Like, if you look at clumps and huge amounts of words, which I haven't really explained, but I have, you know, you can kind of see what was secretly in there that can be told you conveyed something, you know, because choosing your words, you know, does leave room for that. You know, this to me could say deposited, you know, but it could also say like episode, you know, episode, episode, soda. I mean, there's a lot to get out of all this shit, you know, to look at it and see what it means, you know. Yeah, it's really cool. Rap song out of the box. And just looking at shit like this, you know, I mean, upside down, you know, it looks kind of like that's a mouth. You know, it could be some kind of sucking table or something, you know, because like the first enemy in the game was probably like a lamp. You know, it was in the first one, you know, so it could be like a coffee table or some shit. Maybe some kind of legs here. You know, it could be a woman, it could be like with a lot of glasses watching something. It could be a house, you know, like just watching this direction. You know, there's like roof there. You know, I mean, it could be a lot of things. You know, we could say that. And you know, to me, this looks like, you know, like I said, it looks like an old lady. Because I've talked to a lot of old people, and they seem to be positioned like that. You know, it looks like this is like something getting poked in a hole. This person is like the one who's receiving. You know what I mean? Because I mean, that's what the person would have to have its point to be. Because I mean, it's a hole. You know, to me, you know, like I said, it just represents family. But I mean, that's not just a hat, Bill. It looks like, you know, like, see, that thing is getting poked inside. See, he just gave it to him. See, well, it's like diagonal. See, from that to that, you know, it goes in his mouth. You know, kind of gets close to it. It just must be like this big irritating fat thing there. It looks like, you know, and then he is the one who gives it that blue thing. White tip on the end of it. It's just a big fat belly is what it looks like. You know, there's like too much of it. You know, but I'm sure. Like, I mean, I'm just going off of basically a reference of what, you know, like you know, they had like an Egyptian hieroglyph. Well, anyway, the Egyptian hieroglyph had a thing about, it was like a computer and like a bomb or something. But one thing, like, I didn't show you on this, is like it says you won, but on the upside down it says like Nam you. And you know, I mean, this dude misses his mother. You know, so that's a small difference than not missing his mother and missing it, you know, which is enough to not pay attention in that area when the mother does something for you. You know, so there's these little tiny references. And it's kind of like, what I was talking about a minute ago. That could be like a foot there. Probably a business accountant. Maybe this is a table, you know, or maybe it's some kind of, I mean, it has to be something else besides what it is. Supposed to find another layer of what it would be besides what it looks like. It looks like a bird to me, upside down. But this way, you know, it doesn't really look like it means much. But it has to. And yeah, the thing I was going to show you was like a computer and a hieroglyph. I don't know. It was predicted by the future. Anyway, it was some kind of thing like this, and there was like a person on like a laptop or something, but it was on a hieroglyph from ancient Egypt. And it's a good, like, the reason that was there, you know, gave me the identity to kind of want to look at the, you know, games upside down and look at the pixels and see, you know, what the computer was. You know, I mean, this could be somebody on like a microphone or something, but they didn't have recording materials, you know, but they did have, you know, quite blueprints that kind of, you know, roll along with that. And another thing that looks kind of impaired, of course, is that, you know, going like this, it looks like a pot and, you know, like a fire. You know what I mean? I mean, it has to do something. I mean, when you carry something like that, I mean, it's behind you. You know, so it'd be like if you're holding something like a bag of something, is what that is. It has to be a bag of something. You know, and going the other way. I mean, it has to have a physic to it, and then it has to have, like, why those hands are being put there. You know, this dude is an intruder for sure. You know what I mean? He's his friend or isn't. He's just like too much of a person. It's like, you know, To me, I mean, I have to use perverted references because when I was growing up as a kid, around people, there was still people that, were being perverted next to me, and still the censorship rules. I mean, it's good. Like Japan, it's not about Japan, but Japan does kind of open themselves up with that. It looks like a dick to me, like kind of coiled up or something. This, is there with that going on, and then that hole is there. It has to have some form of why there's three people there, and then there's one over here, with one of these rooster-looking buildings with a sign over here, and that, which looks just as fucked up as that. It's probably his real father, I'd say. He looks like an inbred half of a person, mathematically, And, he's obviously, this whole game is just Japan blowing up the USA, which I haven't really shown you yet, but it's fucking obvious as shit. Because, here is the Aoi Bridge, that is the Hiroshima, and look at the B. That is the B shape of the B in the Earthbound. That is where it fits in it perfectly. And it is about people blowing up the place. Obviously that, is where it explodes there. You can see it easily there. And yeah, so that's where the bomb explodes, is on the top of the B. So it obviously had to do with that. So I'm saying how it's kind of like a revenge on like how America doesn't pay attention to what Japan pays attention to. So I'm sure there's even more layers to that, that I'm not paying attention to. Like how these could be life forms. I think these things definitely, very, very interesting why that's there. There's a whole math to it, and it's just, good to look at it, why that's there, what the hell it would mean, if there was two eyes here and a face. I mean, is it a baby sucking on like a finger, or is it somebody passed out with it looks like a pacifier, and, I mean, it looks like two eyes to me, or maybe a person with one eye. You could say, why is that person there? I mean, there's got to be some form of, I mean, shit. It's just as trivial as all the algebra questions in school where it's like, 1x plus, 2x minus a is why this dude has that on his face. Why does it look like that? Just trying to figure out what that means, is important. And I mean, like another thing is that you can't see that you can't really see the person that's over here past that sign, and so here we get stuck and it's looking that way, and then we have that which is looking that way. I mean, that's all. I mean, it probably doesn't look like much, but it's something, and it can, I mean, just because it can be understood what it is, and just because it can be looked at, and it can be examined and does have information, that's there, something is not skipped, is the point. In fact, we could even say that this is the entire game right here, because, I mean, or at least up to a point, because, that's 3 followers, and this is the only time that people follow us, And, that looks like, a bandit, because he's got eyes, he's got this, frown face. It almost looked like there was a V, that kind of separated to make his eyeballs, Then we have this, which is a B. Looks like a fly, doesn't look like a bee. If it was a bee, it wouldn't be black. It's a definite fly. There's probably tons and tons more meaning to that. Yeah, I think this is the most beautiful soundtrack ever, and I think it's just such beautiful notes that are hit. I think it's, but I mean, why is there a fly circling, It looks like a face now. You see how that would make a difference. And this could be like the evil Gigas version of the Earthbound. If you go if you start at the beginning and work your way this way, there's also the part where there's four and then it goes that way. But this has four together, that it starts from and then goes that way, which is basically the opposite of it. And, that, probably could be Earth or it could be the Gigas. Looks like a huge, volcanic secret of useful information that's like that. And then you can map out, why the snakes was up there. You can figure out why the dogs were like that and why we're fighting against crows, snakes, and birds. But, I mean, just looking at all this mathematical area here, there is much to understand about that. So there's, like I said, 4 followers. This is probably the Giga's followers when you look at the upside down. Kind of helps it. And that's probably like their true father or some shit. I mean, there's a lot to get out of it, a lot to understand. And you should only be getting, like half of the reference, because, that is half a person anyway, so you can imagine there's a twice part that actually has some information there. There'd have to be some information about what all this shit is. And then to me, looking at the mother, I really think it has to do with a woman because, obviously the two USA bombs that hit Japan were 2 men. It's little boy and fat man. That looks like fat man, and Ness might be little boy because he is a little boy. Even though that could be, Pokey just seems to be the slow remnant of what a person would be if there were 2 people there and one was excluded, but mathematically was and was dead. That to me looks like a hand goes like this. I think there's a hand reason why it's there. And then why would a hand be fighting against, a bug? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And then, it looks like a tooth. It also looks like street lights, which could be inverted. And you can see what it means when you're going down a street and you kind of apply these mathematics to see what it would be. Like I plug this into my gums and into my closed area receptacles, and then I make my blood flow kind of go out, up through the ground into the lamp at the top on these 2, kind of like that. That's what I do with this game, and because it's got all these trippy visuals, and I mean, it just looks like that's what it's for. And this has to do with teeth for sure, but also has these symbols, has a lot of meaning. In Japanese has a lot more symbolism, upside down, right side up, and all that already, if you knew the language, and it takes you 3 years to learn it, so you better have, what the hell they are upside down in it. And you have to do that. We also need to figure out what the difference between the tiny little ghost is and that. Because the tiny little ghost would be what that's the opposite of. Also like that other thing, does that represent a fourth character, when it was there in the lineup? And if that was the case, does that mean that he is dead when there's one of these flying over it or what? There's a lot of, no, you can't have it in the I mean, that's a lot to understand at once. A side of what's under bondage. Well, there's a lot of other references. I think that there's a lot. I think that a lot of shit, and there's a lot of other. I think that and a lot of other shit, and a lot of other things to see. To me, this could be another eye or something. To me, that looks like a foot or something with hairs poking out of it. It looks really fucking nasty and scratchy and itchy. It's like an arcade room, That face doesn't even look symmetrical. This shit looks weird. Somebody's eyeballs fell out of their eyeballs. Those look like eyeballs there. It doesn't look, those are not glasses. That looks fucked up. There's no way that's not glasses. Unless it's like some kind of fat slut with titties or something, she's got like bras covering it up or something. And then that face looks fucked up. It doesn't look normal at all. It's obviously not what it is then. Let's see what the rest of this junk's gonna say. And then, another thing is just how there can. I'm not gonna go through this whole game because I will, but if I post any more of these, it'll probably just be like the significant parts instead of it being this long. And then how that thing, which to me is a man's belly, because in Mother 3. These are actually bugs that have people in them, which I thought was really interesting. But how can that kill that if it's bugs with people in them and that's a bug? Because it was bugs with people in them because they have those little stag beetles on the side, and then all of them are robots that look like women. That's one of the robot women that looks like a woman. That's a robot, It's from the Mother 3 part when you're in Pokey's village area. And all the way down to like the fact that there's an exclamation point. There, an exclamation point there, is important. And like I said, you could always kind of. I haven't trained my eye to do it, but I know there's a way to kind of capture these H's. And, how many H's is in, a sentence is something that you can definitely keep your eyes out for. And how many, see those, one, how many U's like that can cup the water, seeing what that influences on what is there, having to do with liquid. I think would be a pretty decent language to understand, the basic English and be able to find the extra information, and then you could also look at it like fog, for example, is like these E's, or it could be A's, and that could be a palm like this, and a palm like that can capture and hold water in. If it's rising, it will kind of go up in here and be in the hand, that would kind of retain water more, but the O, would not be able to have it allowed in it, I don't think, and then, the L is kind of as a boundary, it goes through it, So, learning that, it could probably have some kind of clues about drinking, like liquid. And, that's a small short tale when it comes to just speaking in English. And I'm sure that would leave enough reservoirs of things that are and aren't there for you to understand what this is being said, why, you could, and like comparing it to the other ways you could say, like when you say getting dark, you could say becoming dark. You could say, nearing dark. You could say almost being dark, or almost dark. There's different ways for it to be said when you choose getting dark, and you could say, you can't say almost dark. If there's getting dark, you'd have to go through all of the other ones first that are verbs, and then you can choose which one gives you the most liquid, is kind of how you could kind of figure out how all these words work. And then looking at them upside down, you can get more out of it that way, of course. But that's boring, and you want to do it because it has, something you can get out of it. You will find something out of it. And it is a difference. There is something to signify. And upside down, it looks different than right side up, of course. It doesn't look the same as it does upside down. It's different than it does right side up. The same normal way. It looks, damn it. That's why I can't get that part, because, like I'm not trained to pick up certain, skips like that. So I just went through this like 10 different, damn it, times. So being able to train yourself to know when, something tells you something is important. Also playing this in Japanese, is also really challenging because I don't understand Japanese. And then having to pick up little pieces like that is the only way that I can learn the Japanese part. Like playing the first mother. It was really hard and difficult to be able. So, there's not really much else to get out of that part. And I don't know the rest because I haven't, explored it really. But, why can't they just have the whole community understand why the fuck that's a building? And just in the rawest way. To me, it looks like a big fat woman, and that's a panties. Because, who the hell has a pink roof? The only thing that's going to have it is going to be that. And then they have these two roosters on both sides, has that. To me, that looks like a leg, Probably like a dryer exit or something. But nothing can be wasted. And you have to look at it explicit only because, it's got to have... It's got to have another way to look at what it is. Here's another thing is like that, it looks like it has darker skin. Could be two people standing there. Could be a 10-gallon hat. Could be a small little monkey fucker there or something. Or a big onion or an egg. Kind of yellow-coated white thing there could be. It's obviously an old lady and a person at once. It's got to have it. We live in America. We talk to old people. That could even be Chef from South Park. That's kind of... it's distant, but look, it's got that. It's darker skinned, upside down, backwards. and he's actually a white person and you can't notice it. But, I mean, the chances are just a small mini piece of rubble debris. Then we have, Fuzzy Pickles. To me, this kind of is like, looking through a hole and if someone's shit right there, and then it closes it, it's like it shows you that you could just shit somewhere and it not be like completely not noticed, Once it's Fuzzy Pickles and then it closes the asshole, that's what it looks like to me. That way, I understand what my asshole can do for view, and then that thing disappears. I mean, I think that, that there shouldn't be any censorship when it comes down to it. That this game is really, more of a teaching, on making the body more digital and understanding how to see better and, being able to, understand what all this shit means. And it has meaning. It's shit. So there's, a whole lot of meaning in this whole thing. And, I'm not really feeling like, I'm not really used to the Upside Down that much. But I haven't found anything else that's really, I haven't played this whole thing upside down yet. But it needs to be done, and you have to refer it to everything that's to do with your body. To me, that even looks like the Juggalo symbol, because if it had an axe right there, it'd be that dude running. I think that's pretty signifying something, but it's upside down. Then you can look at like other dimensions. This looks like, glasses looking that way. Could be another room with like more 3D to the dimensions, like could be a dimension going up like that, like a pyramid coming in like this, kind of like a 3D room, This thing, and it has those upside down things there, I mean, it probably means something. But I mean, there's so much to analyze from what it means. I mean, to me, that looks like, somebody sucking dick or something, because, no one uses a pogo stick. And I mean, I know that, what the hell else is it going to be? It's not, anything else is not censored. I mean, there's always a censor and then you see what it was. It's, when you censor it, it becomes worse if you do censor it. Or it could be that fly again. But it has to have meaning to what it is. Why is that close to his mouth is what I'm looking at. And then upside down, and then here's a hat, and a big mouth, maybe a pencil head or something. Why do they have a pencil blocker in the game? To get rid of the pencil. What if that is the pencil that sticks up? That eraser, pencil eraser that sticks up. It has to have a meaning to why this thing is like that. There's no other way that this would be there for anything. And it's just figuring out what all that is. And to me, that's like a naked woman, as I can kind of envision that. But, I think this whole game, being what it is, I think that if you just kind of undress everything, you'll kind of figure out what more it means, like kind of like how I'm doing it until, I can figure out what these mean. The math of the three colors there is important. That it looks like Donkey Kong, but it's probably not. Just that there's that many of them. I mean, all of this shit has to have some kind of meaning. It can't just be some kind of meaning and that's it. I mean, it has to have an actual correlation that has to do with something that can be documented so we can learn how this whole game functions for the body. Why is there a hanging person here when looking at it upside down instead of right side up is the asked question. Why is that there? There's two rooster buildings. Why is that there? That's the question I have. I have questions as to why I can enter a building and look at it at an upside down angle. When I'm outside in the world, I know I can do a handstand to look at something upside down. But if I couldn't, I wouldn't be able to understand what it's like walking around doing a handstand, looking at something else there, which is there, looking at it upside down. These faces, I mean, everything has to do with something. It has to have meaning. That looks like a plant. I mean, this doesn't look like a fucking plant. It has to have other meaning. It has to have real meaning. I mean, it kind of stems out like the arms kind of flim out like little hands. But there is much, to understand from all this, It can't really be broken down any more than that. I mean, just, it needs to have meaning. There needs to be why, that's there. What all of those represent besides just things that look into it's not interesting. It has to be more than that. It has to be doing something to you. It has to be more to understand from what it means. More information. Well, anyway, I think that's about finished there. And how that gets smaller, I mean, that has meaning. There's lots and lots of, information, as to what these things are. That there's one table in this room is important. Why is it like that? What is this painting of? And upside down kind of helps me understand, what it is. What's this? Is it a face? You can see the eyeballs here, nose, mouth. Someone is sleeping. Green. Is it gangrene? It's not gangrene. Algae? Is that what it is? And are we in a fish tank swimming around or what? What is this? It's a good question. Is that another building? It's not another building. It's something else. What is this? What is that? It's obviously not a lamp. What is that? It looks like a desert warfare zone from an FPS, if you ask me, because it looks like there's corners and, stuff. So, yeah, I'd like to figure out what that means. If there's anything else to figure out, it'd be very, very interesting. There's nothing else to figure out. You could look at these as piles of shit. It has to be something that has to do with the body is what I'm referring it to. Because, it's just perfect. That's how I would come up with my good idea. So it'd have to be how it would make sense, I've made a lot of, artistic creations, and it had to have a source of what the hell it meant. Obviously, there has to be some math to it. And it's obviously not wrong. There's an upside down way to look at things that are actually, not really paid attention to, except for people who always look at the shit like it's upside down. That you have to look at it like it's not what it is. It has to be something else. It's not someone skateboarding. It could be an arrow pointing down. It could be someone falling on a skateboard. Last person I saw that had that form of feature actually got hurt. So why is people getting hurt in my game that I'm playing? I don't want people to get hurt because I don't want me to get hurt. I don't want to cause other people to get hurt and hurt themselves in a game. It doesn't look like much of a game if someone I knew that looks like that and got hurt. And that's how they attacked me. It just makes sense. And then there's a pizza store. You got to figure out the sources of what it is and why. Why is that? That an arrow-shaped skateboard. That is like that. What is this, a KKK member? Why has he got that on his head? Is it legs? Are those feet crumpled up like that? Where is his head at? Is this dick his head? Where is it? Because it looks like he doesn't have any definition for it. Is that a mouth open or what? Is it just like an animal's head there? It looks like to me it looks like a wolf. What do you think? What do you think it is? Is this a man drilling you? Is that what it is? It has to have meaning. You have to attack it back. You have to have a metaphor to what that is. How does it attack you? How do you lose the hit points? Hit points is like common ground you have with someone. I couldn't really move this hand without a hit point because it'd have to have a point that hit. It'd have to have a reason why the hand, has common ground with my brain and its connections with the brain, of why, why it's there and stuff. So, there should be a reason why it's there. But, I'm just really, really, really sick of just all this information. But yeah, playing this upside down, as stated before, is very interesting. So, this holistic world, and there is other angles to look at what is there. So, I'm gonna kind of let this go. I think that's enough for you to see for now. If I see any more good stuff out of the game, I will let you know. And then you'll be able to maybe learn more about how the world is upside down, which is completely different. And looking at it as a body, looking at it as an inverse way to look at your own body on the inside of your body, like the whole world outside of your body, looking at it inside of your body, like to encapsulate this game and relate it to what's really there. It's something that you can do, and, it could be useful. I've said that. So, please, just take this little tidbit of, wisdom and use it, and then, help me find something with this. If anything, you could at least see how this wasn't included, how the words didn't have very much information in it about things that are upside down, that have more about what's going on. And then when you create a game, you can make one that is loaded and packed, with information about why that dog is sleeping upside down, but he could have a different look to him. So you could understand it, and you could have another game that couples with this game, instead of just this small bit of information we're looking at from tidbits, like that little puppy face with the yellow nose, with the little black upside down heart, which is not what that is. It's actually, probably a bear head there, or a jetpack, facing this direction, because looking at little shit, like that, it has to be seen. So that needs to be included when people make games and do artwork. And then once you register that in a game like this, and also the number of things in the room and what it really represents, it will make it much easier for you to be able to get the most out of a gaming experience when you look at it flipped upside down and can see what it means. And then when you flip it the other way and see what it means as well.